tell me, for you in your 4 years, what is the best part for you about being a lawyer?
And it clients checks.
Yeah, that is good. I'm with you. Okay, now let's hear the worst part.
Dealing with insurance companies.
Hey, okay. Why is that?
It's like pulling teeth. I mean, this is just the reality of the thing. Like, there is nothing, I have nothing good to say about insurance companies. They're really bad. Every single one
Tell
of
me
them
how
only
you
care
really
about,
feel.
every single one of them only care about their bottom lines. I wish people could understand what goes on behind the scenes of these car wrecks. I mean, they'll literally like offer people like fractions of their medical bills. Doesn't take into consideration the inconvenience, the pain, the injury, what these people have gone through. If the public knew what these guys do, because all that stuff is inadmissible at trial. So they think you're coming in and you're saying, oh, especially if it's not an enormous wreck,
Mhm.
they think you're coming in and you're wasting their time. But they don't realize, you have a case, you might have $50,000 in medical specials. If your initial offer was 10 grand or 20 grand, what can you possibly do? So you file suit, and even if they offer 70 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand before trial, you've already spent $10,000, $15,000 working up that small case. The medical providers have to be paid back. And your clients waited 3 or 4 years with COVID. It's sometimes can be even longer.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into these trials, and so
Oh yeah.
I really wish people. I mean, it's difficult having those conversations with clients.
Right.
Luckily, if you do enough litigation and you try enough cases, you start to get a little bit more respect from the insurance companies. And so, you can get these cases done a little bit quicker, and get the client something that can really help them out. But you have certain insurance companies, Allstate, but many others, that will really nickel and dime a victim, for several years, knowing that they can't afford it, especially during COVID. And it's all to get them to take a paltry offer, because you really can't do anything until a trier of fact, whether that be a judge or a jury,
Mhm.
makes the decision to pay you money. And that's the thing. At that point, and up until that point, there's absolutely no guarantees. So if these personal injury cases are a gamble, and that's another thing that needs to be taken into consideration. So you're talking about billion-dollar companies that are trying to pay people that they know they've hurt. And so
Mhm.
that's why I don't like them. And it's not just car insurance. It's literally every type of insurance company. They all have the same business model. You pay them money for them to make some excuse not to pay you when you actually need it.
Right. Right.
That's what it is. So
Mhm. So do you find, is it hard to meet client expectations or to keep them um, satisfied knowing this? Do you go in and tell them, hey, it's a hard process? Or how do you cull or deal with clients when you've got a situation like that?
rapport is, invaluable. You have to establish with the client up front, you know, who you are, what you do. Because the thing about it is you can't give them a number up front because you don't know how hurt it.
Right.
So there's certain questions you can't answer, but you do have to, temper expectations. With certain insurance companies, you're going to have to deal with certain things. With certain attorneys, you're going to have to deal with certain things. And, I have no problem with going ahead and telling my clients that up front. Like, look, this is a situation.
Right.
And with certain, and with certain fact patterns, if you have a disputed liability case, there's going to be a whole lot more issues. It's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
Products liability, medical malpractice is a whole heck of a lot different than your standard. Rear end collision, slip and falls, big difference. Dog bites, big difference. The law is different. The standards are different. You know, if you can have a valid medical malpractice case, but if the injuries aren't there, nobody's going to take it because it costs 6 figures just to work the case up for trial.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate quirk to have it because the person had been wrong, but the way our current system is, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just not a viable case for us.
Right.
But in the same sense, you have a car wreck case where it certainly is a whole lot cheaper to work up. But if they're offering trash the whole way, uh, you're at the mercy of the court system and getting a trial.
Right.
A lot of things happen when you get on a trial calendar. So that's
Right.
one of the blessings of the case, but it takes years to get there. So, you need to be with an attorney that understands the law, understands working up the case, and then understands how you can penalize them for not paying you. But all throughout that, the client has to be patient through the process, because if they aren't patient and if they don't trust you, you really, if they're in a situation where they say, hey, I really need the money, you have to settle my case. You have to do what you have to do. And sometimes that's unfortunate.
Right. So client trust is huge in your practice.
It's massive. And then in the same sense, unfortunately, you can't do anything about it at the time. But a lot of people don't protect themselves. Like I just said, I was involved in a wreck with multiple claimants. There was a minimum policy, which in Georgia is $25,000, $50,000 for the entire wreck. So that was all available money. If I didn't have uninsured motorist coverage, it'd be a bad day.
Yeah.
So in Florida, it's like $10,000, like 10, 20s. And most people have the minimum coverages.
Mhm.
So, if you're seriously hurt, you need to be taking care of yourself with uninsured motorist coverage. Because that's another thing you have to explain to clients. If they're really hurt, and a lot of them, and deservedly so, think that their case should be worth a whole heck of a lot more money.
Yeah.
And it is. But, if the person has no assets and they're dealing with this minimum policy, you only have what's there. If you don't take care of your own self and get yourself uninsured enough, that means don't get yourself a minimum policy too.
Right.
If you get something better, because then, even if you do have uninsured motorist coverage, you're still limited to what you have.
Mhm.
And, just one more thing, because I don't know if I made it clear, almost never, if people are watching this, like we aren't suing people that don't have insurance coverage. Like we know insurance companies, like nobody's getting sued individually.
Right. Right.
There's like, so you don't have to worry about that when you're delivering. Just throwing it out there, because some people still have that question. So,
Right. No.
no, if an attorney is involved, you're not suing an individual person. There's an
Right.
insurance company behind it.
Right.